Part 1, BPD and Successful Treatment. Chapter 1, BPD 101. Many people misunderstand what borderline personality disorder, BPD, is and how it impacts people's lives, including those who have it and the family members, friends, loved ones, co-workers, and others who are in their life. Perhaps you were diagnosed by a mental health professional, or having felt that something just wasn't quite right in your life, you researched BPD and found that some of its symptoms seem to reflect how you see yourself, others, and situations. In this chapter, we're going to clear away the clutter and confusion and identify the criteria that fit for you. Getting a clear picture of your BPD is the start of a journey of self-exploration, which will allow you to grow beyond your BPD. As you already know, BPD shows up differently for different people. So to start, I'd like to introduce you to Betty. Betty struggled with BPD for many years, but she was able to overcome it by developing an understanding and skills that empowered her to take control of her BPD symptoms and her life. We're going to talk about her a lot as we make our way through this workbook. Betty. Betty was a 22-year-old woman who had always had difficulty making and keeping friends. Multiple relationships with friends, significant others, family members, and coworkers had ended because of intense arguments and even physical fights. Many people were frustrated with her strong need to control them and dictate what they did, her demanding style, and her immediate and intense reactions. In many ways, she was like a chameleon, as she tended to change her views and values to fit in with the different types of people, such as people who liked politics, were part of the goth subculture, or were sexually adventurous. She changed to avoid being rejected and to feel understood. If her friends wanted to do something other than what she wanted, Betty often became visibly angry and then ditched them. Yet her friends also enjoyed spending time with her, because she was usually the life of the party and never backed down from a dare. However, sometimes Betty was slow to respond to her friends' texts or emails and would stay at home for days at a time with no obvious reason. She'd regularly say, "I'm usually alone in a crowded room." When she wasn't around friends, Betty often cried and searched the internet for her next romantic encounter. Betty was head over heels in love with Stephen the instant they met and wanted to talk with him every day. She broke up with him when he didn't immediately respond to her texts about a gift she'd left on his doorstep. She began referring to him as the devil. This was a difficult breakup for Betty, and though she ended it, she felt rejected, alone, lost, conflicted, and confused about her feelings about Stephen, as well as about herself. Betty had issues outside of her relationships too. When she was highly stressed, she often felt detached from her body and the world around her. She said that she often felt like a puppet with a stranger working her strings. She drove recklessly and had 2 DWIs. And she shoplifted if things got too boring. Betty had seen numerous psychologists and psychiatrists since turning 12 years old, and she was diagnosed with obsessive-compulsive personality disorder, impulse control disorder, and major depressive disorder. Medication was helpful for some things, but not for others. Her problems persisted, and medications kept changing as issues arose and dissipated based on what was going on in her life. After Betty broke up with Stephen, she cut her arms, and her coworkers saw the scabs. She was embarrassed, and she decided to re-enter treatment. This time in therapy, she discovered that she met criteria for borderline personality disorder. This diagnosis made sense to her, and having it, and the help of a skilled therapist, allowed her to embark on a journey of healing. Many of the approaches and techniques you'll find in this workbook help Betty grow past the harmful patterns of BPD that had been holding her back for so long. They work for her, and they can work for you too. Betty's experience of BPD may resonate with you, but you may be doubtful that you can successfully manage it. Before Betty could manage her BPD, she first had to know what it is and that she wasn't alone in suffering from it. The same is true of you, so let's explore what BPD is and how common it is.